Of course, it's on the hottest, most humid day that you're ever going to have your air conditioner quit on you, and that's what happened to me. My outdoor condenser unit was silent, maybe a little bit of a buzzing sound, and I could tell the fan was not spinning. The fact that you're watching this video, I can only presume that the same thing has happened to you. I would like to point out that I'm providing this for observational curiosity. I would not recommend just anybody doing this. It really should be performed by a qualified, manufactured, authorized cooling and heating system professional. If you do decide to take the risk to work on this yourself, it's imperative that there's absolutely no electricity being supplied to these high-energy electromechanical devices. They can be deadly. They can cause a lot of damage to your home, to yourself, to others. And you've got to make sure you're using the proper safety equipment. You got to wear proper gloves, proper eye protection. None of those I'm using in this video, so you absolutely have to make sure that you do it the proper way. This is, again, just for your observational curiosity, so you know what you're getting into. I started off by turning off the thermostats so there'd be no call for cooling. I also went down to my basement and then I turned off the switch near my air handling system to make sure there's no current going through the thermostatic system. And most importantly, I went to the main electrical box for the house and I turned off the 220 volt AC circuits going to the air conditioning system. I even pulled a non-fusible disconnect from the outside connection box. Put that up there. Now with all the electrical supply removed from this outdoor condenser unit, just getting to it was probably the most dangerous act.
As you can see, this is quite the less than ideal situation. It would be nice to be able to do this in a place that's not so cramped.
I had to use some small hand tools because my powered unit just wasn't going to fit in that confined area.
This is a 1/4 inch socket and a very small 1/4 inch drive.
I had to remove, I think it was 4 screws to get this access panel off. I had some bee and wasp spray handy when I pulled this panel off. I wasn't sure there couldn't be a nest underneath here, so in my case I was lucked out. There was nothing there, just some spider webs. I could immediately tell that the capacitor was probably the culprit for this failure. The top of it was domed, the top of it was rusted. The rust even had what looked like some residual oil, probably from within the capacitor, starting to seep through. It had that kind of oil seepage look to it. And so I was kind of hopeful that this was the culprit to the failure on my air conditioning system that day. The top of this dual capacitor was so badly rusted, the imprinted labels for each of the terminals was unreadable. The inside of the access panel has a schematic with a lot of information, sometimes overwhelming, but if you look at it, you can find the dual capacitor and the colors of the wires for the various components and where they should be connected. The inherent nature of a capacitor is to store a charge, and in this case, a very high electrical charge could be stored in that capacitor, enough to provide a very decent current flow, which could be dangerous. So I wanted to make sure I shorted out all of the tabs against the chassis to make sure that there was no residual charge. I simply had to loosen a single screw that was on a strap that retained the capacitor, and the capacitor is actually just sitting on top of another machine screw in the side of the chassis. To remove this capacitor, I simply then had to just disconnect these spade terminals. Here I'm just going to make note of the model number of the capacitor at 25L756. It's got 60 microfarad as well as a 10 microfarad, and it's rated for 440 volts AC. So this is what I'll try to find online. Beginning my search online with that model number and seeing Google already starting to fill in what model number I had is always a bit reaffirming to know that I'm not the only one that's looking for this failed component. My air conditioning system was about 12 years old when this failure happened, and to see I was going to be able to fix it for under $30 was quite a relief. When the new component arrived a few days later, the differences were striking. To see the flat top compared to the dome top, to see the condition of the top, it was amazing to see how much abuse those 12 years had had on that dual capacitor. Installing the new capacitor literally was as simple as slipping it behind the retention strap and just making sure it sat on top of that machine screw and didn't get pinched on the side so it wouldn't puncture it, and reconnecting those terminals on the top. I simply snugged down that screw and just tried to make sure I didn't pinch any wires that were hanging there, so that would cause more problems obviously. And again, just double checking that machine screw, and then double checking my connection points based on the color of the wires and which terminals they went through. The new dual capacitor is so brand new, at the top I could easily see the imprinted markings for each terminal. So I could see the C for the common, I could see the F for the fan, I could see it spelled out for Herm for the yellow wire. So all in all, this was a pretty easy task. Now on some of these terminals, sometimes these spades can get a little spread out, so using pliers or needle nose pliers just to pinch them up a little bit so when you slip them on, that way it's a little more firm and there's no chance of maybe some oxidation not making a good contact. So it's a good firm contact on these terminals.
Alright, so we have to reverse the process here. Like that. Alright. Now we have to go inside and reverse all the things that we've turned off. Make a call for cool. Again, I don't recommend just anyone doing this. I think you really do need to have fully qualified, authorized personnel that do this kind of work. You can really get injured, killed, or cause a lot of damage at best to your system. So I don't think this is necessarily something just a new DIYer would want to do. But I have had experience working on high energy electromechanical systems, and you really do need to have some of that exposure and experience to safely work on this kind of equipment. Thanks for watching. If you do need to do it yourself, do it safely. Don't get rushed. I know when it's hot and humid, that's also when you make mistakes. Do it when it's cooler out so you're not tired and hot. Even standing here, I'm getting warm in the sun. Stay cool.